Is TikTok the James Harden of social media? Both Harden and TikTok revolutionized the game for worse. Harden optimized his game for creating open threes, layups, and baiting free throws. Parentheses, insert barf emoji. I co-sign that. Which all have high expected value. Harden's heliocentric play is generally considered unappealing to most neutral fans. Similarly, TikTok changed how people consume social media by exploiting our monkey brains and using algorithms to surface addictive short form videos. What other basketball and big tech comparisons can Sharp Tech think of? And speaking of the short form vertical video format, Twitter is not really text first anymore, as the For You tab is aggressively pushing videos. On a related note, TikTokification of social media continues apace as LinkedIn and Glassdoor just announced that they were adding short video feeds. Even if TikTok gets banned, its impact on social media will continue. I really want to know what a Glassdoor short form video looks like. So if anybody wants to email us some examples, Ben, what do you think here? I love the Harden TikTok comp for a lot of reasons. Any takes?
No, I mean, I think there's probably something to it. I mean, the reality is humans like video. Like, I've written about this in the past. I mean, I'm preempting a question on here, but it's a long-time reader. He should know that I've written this, which is the reality is the internet was text because text is easy. And, text like transfers down to those ones and zeros and it works. Or, we sort of saluted the BBSs of a few episodes ago, this idea where you just get online and have communities and just you'd upload all your messages and download all the new messages. And that was all you could do. And it was amazing. And the reality is that now with increased bandwidth, you can do way more things. And you go back, and maybe this would be sort of the pushback is, oh, all these people were saying that's about TV back in the day. You're just being some old fogies complaining about short form video, which is probably true. And maybe the TV people were right. You know what I mean? I'm just going to get on my front porch here and make some complaints. The reality is that video resonates. It's what the majority of people like the most. Maybe the bit about sort of the Twitter and the For You tab is the case. I don't know. I mean, like, of course I see a fair bit of video. And if you click into a video, you're immediately dropped into a video type stream that goes to the next one.
It starts hitting you with algorithmic recs. Like, it's not related to the video that you watched. It's pretty jarring for someone like me who's not a TikTok user. I assume that's how TikTok works. But on Twitter, I'll watch like a sports highlight and then get hit with like a Tucker Carlson clip next, and it's just like, what the hell is happening here? But
yeah, I mean, or no, that's just because Elon doesn't do videos. Also, definitely be on Elon thing because every other tweet is an Elon tweet at these days. I mean,
that's right.
It just, yeah, it is what it is. That is what people sort of get into. I find that annoying, but I back out. I was going to say just for the podcast, you probably need to use TikTok. But then I remembered I want you to be a productive member of society, so I'm going to give you a pass on that one. So,
You'll come out ahead if I remain TikTok free. So if TikTok is the Harden of tech, does that make Daryl Morey the Chinese government in an ironic twist after the Hong Kong affair a couple years ago?
I mean, that would be that is quite the twist of irony. But I mean, one of the things that's interesting is that, back in the day, Facebook was sort of trying to do video. Yeah. And they gave sort of this they sort of backed away from doing it. They gave this highfalutin talk about, we want time on platform to be valuable time and not just sort of like, wasting time on video and things along those lines, which was all a bunch of BS. The reality is that the reason they de-emphasized video after originally emphasizing it is that it didn't monetize very well, because the challenge with video relative to text or relative to images is you spend more time watching it, which means there's less time to sort of have ads. And that was part, but the reality is now they're clearly all in now that TikTok showed, oh no, don't have long videos, just have lots of short videos. And it still actually doesn't monetize quite as well for the timing reason. Just the number of ads you see in like a 10-minute span is lower than the number of ads you see in a 10-minute span of scrolling stories or scrolling videos. But it's so addictive and like, you spend so much time doing it, and you sort of have to do it because of competition, that they're, obviously all in on short form videos across all their platforms. And yeah, it's a real, it's a real giving people what they want sort of thing. And so who do you blame? Do you blame the platforms giving people what you want? Do you blame people for wanting it? Competition ensures that there's kind of no choice if you want to have a competitive product in the space. So yeah, we're back to being on the front porch and bemoaning the state of society.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I'll sit down next to you on the front porch. I mean, I see short form video everywhere now, and it's not video that I object to. It's the specific TikTok style of video. Like, it's so incredibly tacky, and we're all going to be stuck with it, whether TikTok is banned or not, because I now see it on Twitter constantly. It's like you see the aggressive, like, cuts in the video and the captions, and just all of it is so visually assaulting. And so people must like it, I guess. I don't know.
No, there's like this hierarchy, right? Because a lot of people complain about YouTube style videos before this, right? And the way that they're cut and edited and all that sort of thing. And after, obviously, Mr. Beast has sort of been on the forefront of this. Everyone follows, he like deeply studied the algorithm and all these sorts of things and what works, what doesn't, and then everyone sort of copies that. And then you go before that, and then people complain about TV, the same sort of thing, right? I feel I do sit at the top of the mountain, because I like complain about TV, period. I'm like, it's too slow. It's not information dense enough for me. I find it boring. You keep telling me to watch all these shows and I don't want to do it. So I'm just going to, I don't
bother anymore with Ben.
I get a pull. No, I feel this is like when your friend keeps inviting you out and you can't do it, but you actually feel bad when they stop inviting you because you're like, man, it's really gone too far. I feel that way about TV. I want your recommendations. Give them to me. I mean, I'll feel bad about dismissing them, but
what I like about you and why we can be friends is because you're not one of those pious people who says, I don't even have cable. I happen to know for a fact that you have a lot of cable and are subscribed to a lot of different things. You just don't avail yourself of most of the premium television that's
we're not going to do sort of a money management episode about managing your subscriptions. It's not. I mean, it's really bad when it comes to stuff like Substack and all that, because there's also a bit where I'm so proud of this format and this business model that I just apply to anyone, and I subscribe to anyone and everyone if they ever have a single article I want to read. It's like, hey, you know what? That's right. It's out of control, but yeah, well, subscriptions are.
Do you know what I mean though? With like all the different jump cuts and like the audio sometimes isn't synced to the video. And
no, no, yes, I get it. I'm just saying this is a historical complaint about new formats. I can't wait till the next thing comes along, AR video or whatever it's going to be, and it's like completely disassociated, whatever it might be, and then the future sort of podcasters of the world are going to be like, I mean, don't you remember, like, there was real craft in TikTok videos. And today it's just like, I don't understand what's going on. So I agree with you. I mean, well, here's the deal. It's also like, I usually save it for like a Friday night, maybe like my cheat night, have pizza and beer or whatever.
Ben's not or if I'm sick, he's watching reels. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like you treat yourself to like a couple hours of reels or TikTok or whatever. It's pretty enjoyable. Like I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to take the opposite tack of you. Like I worry about it in a old man on the porch perspective. That like I think learning how to read and information density is by and large a good thing. I also recognize, this they're pretty good at this. Both the creators and the algorithm, it's pretty enjoyable, and you have to be pretty careful because you can look up and like 3 hours have gone by. You're like, oh my word, what am I doing with my life?
That would be my take here. And one of the reasons I love this comp so much, just to put this in context for everybody who's not a basketball fan, like James Harden, I actually look at James Harden as having revolutionized the NBA more than Steph Curry, because Steph Curry proved you can win a title shooting threes, but Steph Curry is sort of like a one of one. He's a true unicorn, one of the greatest players we've ever seen. What Harden's genius was proving that you can take 13 threes a game and layups and bait your way into 10 free throws a game, and you could be like a 35, 36% three-point shooter. and that was still a smart way to play. And so the rest of the league took note. Like Steph, nobody was
Right.
really going to
You
try to
could look at Steph.
imitate
Yeah,
that.
you're actually not as good at Steph. Like that basically applies to everybody.
Right, but once it worked for Harden, now you've got guys like my favorite player in the NBA is Anthony Edwards right now. And he's started the year taking like 14 threes a game. And it's a smart way to play, which is actually really upsetting to me because it's not as interesting to watch. But Harden and his ilk have sort of hacked basketball to such an extent. Like it's sort of irrefutably the best way to play these days.
Well, I have an overarching sports take. I dropped it on Dithering, but in the honor of like avoiding any and all election talk, I can drop it here for you if you like as
Go
well.
for it, please.
So baseball like is great. Like I've always
Now you
enjoyed
really
baseball.
sound like you're on the porch. Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
But I think it's becoming more widely acknowledged that recently, like actually baseball games are super great. And I would say not just in the postseason, postseason baseball is always good, but it's better for reasons I'll get to in a moment. And also just the regular season is sort of a really solid product. And this is after, again, as someone who's generally, a baseball fan, particularly on summer nights when I can sit on my porch and watch it, that the real way to sort of enjoy baseball went through a very dark period for like 10, 15 years, the first sort of 20 years of this century, where it was a pretty rough watch. And what I think happened was there is a bit here where I think analytics does kind of ruin sports in that it's not that it's wrong. It's just that it's boring. Like you sort of solve it, right? And so you ended up with baseball where it was just irrefutably true that all you should do is swing for a home run every single time. You shouldn't steal bases. You shouldn't move the runner over. And then to counteract that, because they're swinging for the fences every time, you shift all your fielders over. You play a shift because if they don't hit a home run, they're going to hit it to like lefty's going to hit it to like shell right field. So you put a guy there, and you had just this. And then meanwhile, it amps the pressure on every pitch. So pitchers are taking for freaking ever because if you screw up once, it's going to be a home run. And then that's basically the deciding factor in the game. It became a pretty brutal product, and it became so brutal for long enough that baseball had to make huge changes. They banned the shift. They made the bases bigger so it's easier to steal. They put the pitch clock in. The pitch clock's a big deal because it's not just that it makes the games go faster, which makes the postseason much more enjoyable in particular, but pitchers get tired. Right. And so that means they're more likely to make mistakes. It's pretty tough if you can't take a breather and you're just boom, boom, boom. And every 18 seconds or whatever it is, you're having to deliver a pitch. And it made the game better. My feeling about basketball right now is I think it's a pretty brutal product because it's solved, right? Like you generate a ton of threes. By and large, one of the easiest factors to see who's going to win an NBA game is who took the most threes. It actually, like the percentages and stuff actually don't matter nearly as much. And then the floor is super spread out so you can get to the rim. At least they changed the reffing a little bit in the last year, so it wasn't so easy to get calls. But I think there's a bit where that actually made even more threes this year because the return for going in the lane is now even lower than it was before. And I think there's a bit where the NBA, we just have to accept it's going to be brutal until everyone sort of realizes we have to make large changes, not little changes. To me, that change is running the three-point line into the sideline so that the corner three goes away. That will let the defense contract itself and operate in different ways. And you'll have to like create different ways to sort of approach it. But the point being is there's a bit where you just have to go like, it takes a while for leagues to face reality. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so,
on this corner for like a year and a half at this point. So I'm with you for sure.
But I think that the comparison to baseball is interesting. And by the way, baseball is crushing the NBA in ratings now, right? Like it is sort of a real flip from sort of what people expected. One thing that's interesting is football. Football's arguably been helped by analytics, in that like way more teams go for on fourth down. There's way more 2-point conversion attempts, things like it just like football was so stodgy that there's a bit where there was so much low hanging fruit. Maybe they'll hit sort of a local maxima and have to rethink things. But football's always been really aggressive about changing the rules. Like they change the rules all the time. Like the kickoff thing's really dumb this year. But I salute the fact they do stuff like that, and then they'll just unwind it and change it. There just seems to be less fealty to like, this is the way it's always been done. And, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why football is pretty successful.
Yes, well, and this is why I like the Harden TikTok comp, because it's where we ended the last episode. There's a chance that short form video and algorithmic curation is just such an incredibly effective engagement hack that it wouldn't shock me if we get like 5 or 10 years down the road and we find ourselves in a place where some sort of limits need to be put in place to keep these videos from like lobotomizing an entire
Okay,
generation out
okay,
there.
Daddy Sharp.
I'm just saying, I'm open to that possibility. What I know for a
Hey,
fact
in a
is that
world,
within 3 or 4 years, the NBA is going to have to take action because of the way the Hardens of the world have bastardized basketball. And so, whether we get there on the short form video front, who knows? But
hey, maybe
SB
in a
is spot
world
on.
where AI takes everybody's jobs, it's great. We have a very compelling entertainment product for people
Everyone just
to
make
amuse
themselves
themselves.
comfortable on the
That's right.
couch.
It's
Well,
Friday night every day.